Listen to me carefully. This is not a moment for distraction, not a moment for doubt, not a moment to scroll past as if this is just another voice in a noisy world. Something has been set in motion over your life that you did not start, you did not plan, and you could not have forced no matter how hard you tried. God told me to warn you, because what is coming towards you will feel sudden, overwhelming, and almost unbelievable. You are about to step into a level of provision that will shock even you. But if your spirit is not prepared, what is meant to elevate you can confuse you, and what is meant to bless you can burden you. Pay attention now, because this moment matters more than you realize. There are seasons when God works quietly, invisibly, beneath the surface, and then there are moments when the results appear all at once, like a door swinging open that you did not even know was unlocked. Many of you have been in a hidden season longer than you expected. You prayed, you waited, you endured delays, rejection, misunderstanding, and silence. You asked God why it was taking so long, why others seemed to advance while you remained still, why effort did not immediately produce reward. What you did not see is that God was not delaying you, God was developing you. And now the development phase is ending and the release phase is beginning. Hear this clearly. Sudden wealth is not just about money. It is about responsibility, exposure, pressure, and spiritual weight. God does not elevate carelessly. When God increases, God also tests. When God opens the floodgates, God watches how the vessel holds what is poured in. That is why this warning matters. You are about to experience a shift that will change how people see you, how they speak to you, how they approach you, and even how you see yourself. If your identity is not anchored in God, the blessing itself can become a storm. Some of you have been faithful in little things that no one applauded. You showed integrity when it cost you. You refused shortcuts when compromise was easier. You stayed disciplined when nobody was watching. You honored God in private when there was no reward in public. And now God is saying the harvest will not come drop by drop, it will come in waves. Opportunities will appear suddenly. Doors will open without explanation. Resources will align faster than your logic can process. And you will look around and say, how did this happen so quickly? It happened because God never forgets obedience, even when it looks unrewarded. But let me warn you with love and truth. When sudden increase arrives, it attracts sudden voices. People who ignored you will suddenly notice you. People who doubted you will suddenly celebrate you. People who did not help you build will suddenly want access to what you built. And if you are not discerning, you will confuse attention with alignment. Not everyone who claps for you is assigned to you. Not everyone who praises your success is sent by God. Some are sent to test your humility, your boundaries, and your obedience. God is about to trust you with more, but trust is proven by stewardship, not excitement. Money magnifies what is already inside you. If there is peace, it will multiply peace. If there is fear, it will multiply fear. If there is generosity, it will expand generosity. If there is pride, it will expose pride. That is why preparation is not optional. God is not just changing your bank account. God is refining your character so you do not lose yourself in the process. You must understand this. Sudden wealth will demand sudden decisions. You will not have time to think slowly when opportunities move quickly. That is why your values must already be settled. Decide now who you are before the pressure arrives. Decide now what you will not compromise before temptation presents itself. Decide now that God remains your source, not money, not people, not status. If you do not settle this now, confusion will speak louder than wisdom later. Many people ask God for abundance, but few ask God for the wisdom to handle it. God is not impressed by numbers. God is concerned with direction. Where will this increase lead you? Will it draw you closer to God or distract you from God? Will it make you more generous or more guarded? Will it give you freedom or quietly enslave you to fear of loss? These are not questions to answer later. These are questions to answer now. While your heart is still soft and your spirit still listening, there is another warning you must hear. Sudden elevation exposes unresolved wounds. When money comes quickly, old insecurities surface unexpectedly. The need to prove something, the urge to show others you made it, the temptation to spend for validation rather than purpose, all of these pressures will come. God is saying, heal now. Forgive now, let go now, because you cannot carry emotional debt into financial abundance without consequences. God wants you whole, not just wealthy. You may think becoming a millionaire will solve your problems, but God is reminding you that money is a tool, not a healer. Peace comes from alignment, not from income. Joy comes from purpose, not from possessions. If you do not learn this before the increase, you will chase satisfaction and never catch it. That is why God speaks now, before the breakthrough fully manifests. This is preparation, not punishment. Some of you are about to be entrusted with influence beyond money. Your voice will matter more. Your decisions will affect others. Your example will be watched, and the weight of that influence will require humility. God resists pride but releases favor to those who remain teachable. Stay grounded, stay grateful, stay connected to God, not just in crisis, but in comfort. Comfort is where many lose their discipline. You must also prepare for separation. Elevation always brings distance. Not everyone can go where God is taking you. Some relationships will strain. Not because you became arrogant, but because growth creates difference. Do not shrink to keep others comfortable. Do not sabotage your future to preserve familiarity. God sometimes removes people not as punishment, but as protection. Trust God's pruning even when it hurts. Let me speak directly to your spirit now. This wealth is not just for you. God is positioning you as a channel, not a container. What flows to you is meant to flow through you. If you block the flow with fear or greed, stagnation follows. But if you release with wisdom and obedience, God ensures replenishment. This is how divine increase operates. Movement, not hoarding. Purpose, not panic. There will be moments when you feel unqualified for the level you are entering. You will wonder if you deserve it, if you are ready, if you can sustain it. Remember this, God never calls the ready. God prepares the called. Your responsibility is not to feel worthy, but to remain obedient. God supplies what obedience demands. Stay in alignment and provision will follow. As the increase arrives, your time will be tested. Your schedule will fill, your attention will be pulled in multiple directions. Guard your inner life fiercely. Do not let success steal your stillness. Do not let busyness replace awareness of God. The quieter you stay inside, the clearer your decisions will be outside. Noise confuses purpose. Stillness strengthens it. There is also a warning about fear. Fear of losing what you gained. Fear of making wrong decisions. Fear of being exposed. Fear can quietly control wealthy people more than poverty ever did. God does not want you rich and anxious. God wants you confident and anchored. Trust that the same God who brought the increase can sustain it. Control is an illusion. Trust is strength. You are entering a season where generosity will become a language you speak fluently. Not impulsively, not emotionally, but wisely and intentionally. Giving aligned with purpose multiplies impact. God will show you where to sow, when to sow, and how to steward what remains. Listen carefully. Not every need is your assignment. Discernment protects resources. As I speak this, something is settling in your spirit, a mix of excitement and seriousness. That is good. That is awareness awakening. God never blesses blindly. God prepares thoroughly. This warning is evidence that God cares about your future more than your comfort. This is not about hype, this is about readiness. You will soon look back at this moment and realize it was a turning point. Not because money arrived, but because clarity did, because alignment did, because you chose preparation over pride. Many people receive blessings, few sustain them. You are being taught how to sustain what is coming. Stay humble when praise gets loud. Stay disciplined when options multiple. Why? Stay generous when abundance feels secure. Stay obedient when distractions appear attractive. This is how you remain under God's guidance even in prosperity. And finally, remember this truth deeply. God is not elevating you to impress others. God is positioning you to fulfill an assignment that requires resources. When the money comes, ask not, what can I buy? But what does God want to build? Purpose gives wealth direction, and direction gives wealth meaning. What is coming is real, it is close, it is sudden, and it is powerful. But you are not stepping into it unprepared. This warning itself is preparation. Receive it with humility, respond with obedience, and stay anchored in God as everything around you begins to change. What God is about to do will require a new level of spiritual maturity from you. Because increase without maturity creates imbalance, and imbalance eventually leads to collapse. God is not interested in temporary elevation. God is establishing longevity. That is why this next season will stretch your thinking, challenge your habits, and demand that you see yourself differently. You can no longer think like someone waiting for provision when you are becoming someone entrusted with provision. Your mindset must shift before your surroundings do, or you will feel overwhelmed instead of empowered. There is a discipline God is awakening in you now, a discipline of listening. When life was slow, you had time to think. When resources were limited, decisions were simple. But when speed increases and options multiply, only those who hear God clearly will move wisely. God will speak in subtle directions, quiet restraints, inner nudges that do not always make sense to logic. Ignore those promptings and you risk costly detours. Honor them and you will experience protection that cannot be explained by strategy alone. Do not underestimate the spiritual R. Assistance that often follows divine promotion. When God elevates someone, pressure increases, expectations increase, and unseen opposition intensifies. Not because you are weak, but because what you carry matters. This is why you must strengthen your inner life now. Build resilience in faith. Develop consistency in obedience. Make alignment with God your daily anchor, not an occasional habit. Stability in God is what allows you to stand firm when the winds of change blow strongly around you. God is also preparing you for moments of silence, moments when people expect answers from you, but God instructs you to wait. Silence is not absence, silence is strategy. Not every move needs explanation. Not every opportunity needs acceptance. Discernment will sometimes require you to say no to good things in order to protect the best things. Trust that restraint is as powerful as action when it is guided by God As abundance approaches, your relationship with time will change. Time will become more valuable than money. Guard it carefully. Do not allow urgency to replace intentionality. God does not rush wisdom. Even when blessings arrive suddenly, God's guidance remains steady and precise. Learn to pause before decisions. Learn to step back and observe. Wisdom often whispers while impatience shouts. You may find that some people misunderstand your new boundaries. They may say you have changed. In truth, you have grown. Growth requires structure. Structure requires boundaries. Boundary. E is protect purpose. You are not obligated to explain every decision or justify every limit. Your responsibility is to remain obedient to God, not agreeable to everyone. There is also a deeper work happening beneath the surface. God is redefining your sense of security. Security rooted in money is fragile. Security rooted in God is unshakable. God may allow moments where you realize how quickly circumstances can shift, not to scare you, but to remind you where true stability comes from. When God is your foundation, fluctuation does not control you. Prepare your heart for gratitude at a new level. Gratitude in scarcity is faith. Gratitude in abundance is wisdom. Never lose the ability to recognize God as the source of every good thing. Gratitude keeps your spirit soft, your perspective clear, and your joy intact. It reminds you that nothing you have is self-created and nothing you steward is self-owned. God will also begin to sharpen your vision. You will start to see possibilities where others see limits. You will recognize needs others overlook. This is not coincidence. This is assignment. Wealth aligned with vision becomes impact. Impact aligned with God becomes legacy. Think beyond comfort. Think beyond status. Think beyond now. God is inviting you to build something that outlives applause. At times, the responsibility may feel heavy. You may feel the weight of decisions, the pressure of expectation, the loneliness of leadership. In those moments, return to God, not for our solutions alone, but for strength. God does not just guide your steps. God sustains your soul. Do not carry burdens you were never meant to carry alone. Be aware of comparison. It will try to sneak in quietly. Comparison steals contentment and distorts purpose. God's plan for you is not measured against anyone else's outcome. Your path is custom designed. Your pace is intentional. Your assignment is specific. Focus on obedience, not imitation. There will be times when generosity will stretch you, not because you lack resources, but because obedience challenges comfort. Trust God in those moments. What you release in faith never leaves your life. It changes form. God sees every act of obedience, especially the ones done quietly, without recognition. As your influence grows, humility must grow faster. Humility is not weakness, it is clarity. It keeps you teachable. It keeps you aware. It keeps you aligned. God elevates those who remain small in their own eyes and large in their trust in God. This season will require emotional intelligence. You will encounter praise and criticism at levels you have never known. Do not let either define you. Praise can inflate ego. Criticism can deflate confidence. Both are distractions if you allow them to shape your identity. Let God alone be the voice that defines you. God is also calling you to rest differently. Rest is no longer escape. Rest is strategy. Burnout is not a badge of honor. God designed rest to preserve clarity and strength. Honor rest as an act of trust, knowing that provision does not depend on constant motion, but on divine alignment. As everything begins to shift, remember why God chose you. Not because you were perfect, but because you were willing to listen, willing to obey, willing to trust when outcomes were uncertain. That willingness still matters. Stay available, stay responsive, stay anchored. The wealth coming towards you will change your environment, but God intends to transform your impact. This is not the end of the journey, it is the beginning of a greater responsibility. Walk into it with reverence, confidence, and unwavering trust in God. What lies ahead will require courage, wisdom, restraint, and faith at a level you have not yet known. But you will not walk into it alone. The same God who prepared you in the hidden season will guide you in the visible one. Remain faithful, remain grounded, remain surrendered. Everything else will fall into place. There is a refinement God brings before public reward, and it often feels like pressure before it feels like privilege. What you interpret as tension is actually alignment taking place. God is calibrating your inner compass so that when the pace accelerates, you do not lose direction. This is why certain comforts are being disturbed, certain routines disrupted, and certain assumptions challenged. God is training you to move by discernment rather than habit, by obedience rather than impulse. You must understand that out reveals leadership. Money will place you in rooms where your words carry weight and your silence carries meaning. God is teaching you how to speak with wisdom and restraint, how to listen without reacting, how to respond without being provoked. Leadership is not volume, leadership is clarity. When God gives you influence, God expects you to steward it with dignity and intention. There will be moments when God asks you to slow down, even as everything around you speeds up. This is not contradiction, this is protection. Speed without insight creates mistakes that cost more to fix than to avoid. God's timing is precise. Learn to trust pauses as much as progress. A delayed decision guided by God is safer than a rushed decision driven by excitement. As increase unfolds, you will encounter temptation not just to spend, but to prove. Prove your worth, prove your success, prove your arrival. Resist this urge. Your value was never in question with God. Validation through display is a trap that drains purpose. Let your life speak quietly and consistently. Substance always outlasts spectacle. God will also begin to test your loyalty, not to people, but to principles. There will be moments when bending values seems profitable, when compromise appears efficient. These moments are checkpoints. Passing them protects the future God is building through you. Short-term gain achieved through compromise produces long-term loss. Integrity may cost you something now, but it will save you writing later. You are also being prepared for multiplication of responsibility. One opportunity will lead to many. One door will open into several rooms. Without focus, expansion becomes fragmentation. God is teaching you to prioritize purpose over pressure. Just because you can do many things does not mean you should. Assignment determines action. Let God define your yes and your no. Do not neglect your inner dialogue. The voice you listen to most shapes the decisions you make fastest. Replace fear-based thoughts with trust-based awareness. God did not bring you this far to abandon you at the threshold. Confidence rooted in God is calm, steady, and unshaken. It does not rush to impress. It moves with quiet authority. There will be seasons when obedience feels lonely. You may stand alone in decisions others do not understand. Remember that isolation for alignment is temporary, but regret from compromise is lasting. God often separates before God multiplies. Trust the process even when affirmation is scarce. As resources increase, generosity will require discernment. Giving without wisdom creates dependency. Giving with wisdom creates empowerment. Ask God not only how much to give, but how to give. Strategy guided by compassion produces lasting impact. God cares about outcomes, not just intentions. You may feel the weight of expectation from others who assume your success entitles them to access. Learn to distinguish compassion from obligation. You are called to serve. Why? Purpose. Not to carry burdens God did not assign. Saying no with clarity can be an act of obedience. God will also deepen your understanding of contentment. Contentment is not settling, it is stability. It allows you to enjoy progress without being enslaved by it. When contentment anchors you, ambition becomes healthy rather than consuming. God desires you to advance without anxiety. Be attentive to how success affects your listening. Pride dulls perception. Humility sharpens it. Stay curious. Stay teachable. Stay aware that wisdom is not proven by arrival, but by continued learning. God speaks to those who remain receptive, not those who assume they already know. As visibility increases, so will scrutiny. People will interpret your actions through their own assumptions. Do not let misinterpretation pull you into defensiveness. Let consistency be your response. Truth does not need constant explanation. It needs time to be revealed. God is also preparing you to think generationally. Wealth that serves only one lifetime is limited. Wealth aligned with purpose extends influence beyond years. Ask God how what you steward today can create stability tomorrow for others, not just yourself. Legacy begins with foresight. There will be moments when fear tries to disguise itself as wisdom, urging you to hold back, to play small, to protect excessively. True wisdom does not shrink, it aligns. Courage guided by God is not reckless, it is obedient. Step forward when God directs. And if certainty feels incomplete, your prayer life will evolve. You will pray less for survival and more for stewardship, less for escape and more for alignment. This shift is maturity. God is inviting you into partnership, not dependency. Trust grows when responsibility increases. Remember that rest remains essential even as momentum builds. Rest restores perspective. Without it, success becomes noise. God designed rhythm to preserve clarity. Honor it, and you will sustain what others burn out trying to maintain. There will be moments of awe when you realize how far God has brought you. Receive those moments with gratitude, not pride. Gratitude keeps the heart open. Pride closes it. An open heart continues to receive guidance. As this season unfolds, keep your spirit anchored, your mind disciplined, and your actions aligned. What God is doing through you is deliberate, measured, and meaningful. Walk forward with confidence, not because of what you have gained, but because of who guides you. There is a refining fire that comes before lasting fruit, and it does not burn to destroy, it burns to purify. God is strengthening your ability to remain steady when emotions fluctuate and circumstances test your resolve. This is the season where impulse must bow to wisdom and reaction must surrender to discernment. What God is entrusting to you cannot be managed by excitement alone. It requires composure, foresight, and unwavering trust. You are being trained to distinguish between an opportunity and assignment. Not every open door is meant for you, even if it looks profitable. God's favor does not remove the need for discernment, it intensifies it. The ability to walk away from something attractive because it is not aligned will protect you more than the ability to chase everything that shines. Discipline is a form of worship when it is rooted in obedience to God. God is also preparing you for moments when success does not feel celebratory but heavy. There will be days when you realize that progress carries responsibility and responsibility carries weight. In those moments, remember that God does not place burdens without also providing strength. You are not expected to carry the future alone. Dependence on God is not weakness, it is wisdom. As your capacity grows, your patience must grow with it. Patience is not delay, patience is control. God often withholds the final piece of clarity until obedience is demonstrated with what you already know. Move faithfully with the instruction you have, and further direction will follow. Faithfulness unlocks insight. There will be times when you must make decisions that are unpopular but necessary. Leadership guided by God is not driven by approval, it is anchored in conviction. Do not measure success by applause, measure it by peace. Peace is the confirmation that alignment remains intact even when pressure increases. God will sharpen your sense of accountability. You will become more aware that what you do privately affects what you carry publicly. Integrity is built when no one is watching. Guard your private life with the same seriousness as your public actions. What is unseen sustains what is visible. Be prepared for seasons where progress feels quiet. Not every advance is loud. Some of the most significant growth happens in stillness. Trust the unseen work of God. Roots grow underground before fruit appears above ground. Stability precedes visibility. God is also teaching you to release control over outcomes. Planning is wise, but obsession is bondage. Do your part with excellence, then release the results into God's hands. Anxiety is a signal that trust has been replaced with fear. Return to trust. God does not fail in fulfillment. As influence expands, your words will carry more weight. Speak with intention. Words can build or fracture, inspire or intimidate. Let your speech be measured, honest, and purposeful. God listens not only to what you say to others, but to how you speak to yourself. Align your inner language with faith, not doubt. You will encounter moments where generosity challenges logic. In those moments, remember that provision does not decrease through obedience. It is refined through it. God honors faith expressed through action. Obedience creates space for continued flow. There may be times when you feel misunderstood, even misjudged. Do not rush to defend your character. Let consistency speak. Time reveals truth more clearly than argument ever could. God is your vindicator. You are also being prepared to recognize when to lead and when to follow. Authority rooted in God knows when to step forward and when to step back. Pride resists instruction. Humility welcomes it. Stay humble enough to learn and confident enough to act when directed. As you walk deeper into this season, the temptation to self-identify by achievement will arise. Resist it. You are not your success, and you are not your resources. Your identity remains anchored in God alone. When identity is secure, success becomes a tool rather than a trap. God is teaching you to value alignment over acceleration. Faster is not always better. Sustainable progress outlasts rapid gain. Trust the pace God sets. There is no competition in purpose. You may find that your definition of wealth evolves. Wealth will no longer be measured only by numbers, but by impact, freedom, and peace. This shift is evidence of growth. God expands your understanding so that your pursuit remains healthy. As this unfolding continues, keep returning to gratitude. Gratitude realigns perspective. It keeps the heart tender and the spirit receptive. Gratitude reminds you that every step forward is grace, not entitlement. Remain attentive, remain grounded, remain obedient. God is not finished shaping what is being revealed through you, and what is being revealed is only a fraction of what has been prepared. There is a deeper humility God is cultivating within you, one that is not performative. But rooted in awareness, this humility understands that success does not make you independent of God, it makes you more dependent. The higher you are lifted, the clearer it becomes that stability comes from submission, not self-sufficiency. God is teaching you to kneel inwardly, even as you stand outwardly with authority. You are entering a phase where discernment must operate faster than emotion. Emotional reactions will try to hijack clarity, especially when stakes are high and visibility is intense. God is sharpening your ability to respond from conviction rather than impulse. When emotions rise, pause. When opinions multiply, listen. When pressure mounts, anchor yourself in God. Stillness is not retreat, it is recalibration. God is also preparing you for seasons of stewardship that require courage rather than comfort. You will be asked to invest in places where returns are not immediate, to build structures that take time to mature. Patience will be tested, but patience partnered with obedience produces outcomes that haste cannot achieve. Trust the long view. God sees even when you only see the next step. As provision increases, clarity about purpose becomes non-negotiable. Without purpose, abundance becomes distraction. God is aligning your resources with intention so that every decision serves a larger narrative. Ask yourself often whether your actions are feeding momentary desire or eternal impact. Purpose keeps wealth from drifting. You may experience moments where solitude becomes necessary. Solitude is not isolation, it is intentional withdrawal for alignment. God often speaks most clearly when noise is reduced. Protect those moments. They will restore perspective when demands grow heavy and expectations grow loud. God is also strengthening your resilience against disappointment. Not every plan will unfold perfectly. Not every investment will succeed. Failure is not disqualification, it is instruction. Learn quickly, adjust humbly, and move forward without carrying shame. God redeems lessons as effectively as victories. There will be opportunities to lead by example rather than instruction. People will watch how you handle pressure, how you treat others when you have leverage, how you remain grounded when success surrounds you. Your actions will speak louder than your explanations. Let integrity guide every interaction. God is refining your relationship with risk. Fear-based avoidance limits growth, while reckless ambition endangers stability. Wisdom guided by God navigates the space between caution and courage. Take steps of faith that are informed by discernment, not driven by anxiety or pride. You are also being taught to recognize seasons of release. Holding on to what God asks you to let go of creates stagnation. Release is not loss, it is transition. Trust that God removes to reposition and ends to begin anew. Obedience sometimes requires letting go of what once worked. As your capacity expands, compassion must expand with it. Success should soften your heart, not harden it. Remember where you came from. Remember the struggles that shaped you. Let empathy inform your decisions so that progress never comes at the cost of humanity. God is training you to respond to uncertainty with faith rather than control. There will be moments when outcomes are unclear and paths seem unmarked. This is where trust matures. Faith is not certainty of outcome, it is confidence in God's guidance. Walk forward even when visibility is partial. You may find that your priorities reorganize themselves naturally. What once seemed urgent will lose importance. What once seemed distant will demand attention. This is alignment taking place. Allow it. Growth often rearranges what you value. God is also calling you to consistency. Peaks are celebrated, but consistency sustains. Daily obedience builds foundations that occasional intensity cannot replace. Stay faithful in routines. Stay disciplined in small decisions. They compound into stability. As influence grows, so does responsibility for fairness and justice. Power tests character more than lack ever could. Use authority to uplift rather than dominate. God watches how you treat those who cannot repay you. Compassion is a measure of true strength. You will encounter moments where gratitude feels challenging despite abundance. Moments when expectations overshadow appreciation. Return intentionally to gratitude. Gratitude recalibrates focus and restores joy. It reminds you that what you steward is a gift, not an entitlement. God is also refining your sense of timing. Knowing when to act and when to wait requires sensitivity. Timing can elevate a good decision into a great one. Impatience can diminish potential. Ask God for timing as earnestly as you ask for direction. As this journey continues, understand that preparation never truly ends. Each level introduces new lessons, new responsibilities, new opportunities to trust. Remain flexible, remain teachable, remain anchored in God. What unfolds ahead will stretch your faith and deepen your understanding of dependence. You are not being led into chaos, but into order, not into confusion, but into clarity. Stay present, stay aligned, stay faithful to God as everything around you continues to unfold.